So let us begin with first round of the question, which I feel the first round is common for all. I recently read two articles, and one was that the title of the one article was Zero Excursion, Fiction or Reality. And the second article was Zero Excursion and Almost Achievable Reality. I don't know the gap between the two articles, but the second article was published in 2018. So 7 years have passed. So my first question to all of you is that where exactly we are from this achievable reality to actually achieved or still not even reached there. So what has happened in the last 7 years in our situation, and what is our status today as far as zero excursion is concerned in the coal management? I think I'll start with Srirang first.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for this opportunity. Let me give some small introduction. So, I'm Srirang Deshpande. I'm heading as a national sales for solar powered cold storages. So, this company is formed by 3 IITians incubated in IIT Kharagpur. Ipsen is the pioneer for decentralized first solar cold room in India, we can say in world. So this technology is invented by Ipsen, and which considering the rural area, rural challenges, rural requirement like lack of electricity, lack of awareness, lack of training. So it has lot of inputs. So I'm not going into detail, but to start with this, and so far deployed 1200 plus solar cold storages all over the world, and 4 lakhs plus solar pumps, and so far lot of innovative products are coming. So coming to the main thread, why this zero excursion, how we are looking at. So I am seeing it's an golden opportunity and necessity requirement. So I would say we are facing the same challenges around 10 years back. Is not the situation like this. Now there is awareness has been increased. So earlier there was no solution available. Solution is available. Awareness has increased, but there is a tremendous scope of work need to do. So I would say currently I am considering this in two phases. One is pharma phase. There is a little bit in advanced stage, and second is food security. There are still means if you say 2080 principle, 20 pharma 80 agri food industry. So for this food industry, so it's just a beginning. Now this year only policy has came to create an infra at farm gate level. So far even means government is realizing the problem. So infra is needed. Just 30 years before, if you see, or refrigerator was a luxury item. Now it's a necessity. It's a farm coverage. It's farm infra. Similarly, different types like pharma industry, there is infra at rural is mandatory. So cold chain, one at infra, second is transportation. So like reefer vans and all to end. And third, we are first infra at source like farm or factory. Second, transportation, and third to the end user where we are using. So I would say as a India, we have just started the journey, and we can say if we see the developed countries, we are around 7 to 8 years back in the race, but still we are on the right path. At least this discussion is happening. This is the main I can say.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, so definitely I'll cover. So I'll just introduce myself. Ritu Paran. I take care of the CRYOPDB as a country head here. So we are into the very precise, critical temperature control pharma shipment movement. That is what our organization is into, and we are a very niche player. We only handle just the temperature control and just the pharma. That's it. So coming back to the interesting journey. So I've been associated with this my life sciences businesses with various customers on the transportation as well as their complete logistics requirements since 2007 onwards. So I can still date back to maybe somewhere in 2007 when I used to have the discussions with the different industry stakeholders, right? From because we as a logistics provider, we have to deal with multiple stakeholders, so which also includes the first leg from the customer, starting a journey from the customer side, then dealing with various transporters, then we have airports for the air shipment, then we have the seaports for the ocean shipments. So that's where actually all the entire ecosystem of this the pharma logistics or the temperature control logistics, I've seen it has evolved to a very different level now. Even the same, say the same contacts which I used to deal with somewhere in 2007, 2010 during that time, the kind of the discussions what we have now, it is a like a sea change, I can say. It is a so coming back to what has changed, like in terms of the temperature control. So I've seen the journey, like right from the very crude and the basic packaging, which was just the thermocol boxes. From there, now we have the insulation evolved over the period, and now everyone is talking about the VIP, which is a vacuum insulation panel. So that is one of the biggest change in the insulation as a like to protect the temperature. Then there is a huge change in the refrigerants. So where people used to deal with water-based gel packs, and now we are talking about the PCM. We've heard Matt cover, Ankit talking about the categories of the various the thermal comers which they have evolved. So that shows that where, and it is on the demand of the customer. So customers have started now taking an interest and trying to understand and then getting the solution created as per their need, their product need basically. So that's something which is very interesting. And coming back to the visibility side as well. So we've gone are those primitive days where the customers or maybe the we will have not have the access of any the datas of when the shipment, where the shipment was, what was the temperature, and then now we have we are going through a journey where actually we see that it is a live visibility of the temperature, and customer wants to see it. They want to have the access of that. Not only just the temperature, then now we are also talking about the shocks. We are talking about the exposure to light. We are talking about the location. So we have now various players who have come forward into the GPS plus GSM based technology sensors. We are talking about the Bluetooth beacons. So there, the industry itself, the cold chain industry has evolved over all this. And definitely now I see the going further ahead is basically that there has to be a kind of a data sharing. That is something which I see, which can be utilized as a predictive analysis, which can be utilized to create a better solution, like to mitigate any risk which we see or foresee maybe during the entire journey. So that is something as a next is what I see is the industry will definitely will be trending to. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, now it's okay. Yeah. So, good afternoon, first of all. I am just to introduce myself. I am Arvind Kumar Gajjar, taking care of sales and marketing for UPS Healthcare. And just to answer your question that where we reach in last 7 years. So, correct. Correct. So for last 7 years, we would say we have made a significant progress. I would say in cold chain management and managing the temperature control trends, and that has been a significant growth. Secondly, what we can say is I can divide it into three parts. Majorly, it's a packaging, infrastructure, and thirdly, to the technology. Okay, so packaging, yes, Ritu sir has already informed us a long presentation that there are lots of evolution happened into the packaging. Infrastructure wise, yeah, what we are lacking, we were lacking, I would say, in terms of infrastructure at the tarmac level. Okay, where there are major chances of excursion happen, but there also now there has been a development. Major carriers have already introduced their cool dollies, which takes their the pharma cargo from aircraft to the cold storage, which will not allow the excursion, and that is the again development of infrastructure level, I would say. Third, as in technology, yeah, we are into the now AI generation. So we could say that on IoT and AI made the tremendous change, and it makes a real data transfer, and which allows us to take a corrective action as soon as possible the excursion has happened. We in UPS also, we are investing a lot on a technology, and we have developed a product with different technology like RFID, then mass sensors, and smart sensors with cellular data that allows customers data logger to integrate with our system. Because what happens for customers do the validation of the data loggers and their internal devices, and they insist generally to keep their own data logger with the shipment rather than from other data logger, because that is validated with them. So that integration with our system allows the same data logger, validated data logger, can read the data and give a complete report. So yeah, I would say we have evolved a lot. Evolved in terms of not up to the zero excursion level completely, but yeah, we have made it a predictive analytic kind of thing with the help of technology.
I must say that your presentation exactly tells us that how a salesperson should exactly look at the client's needs and understand the technology the way you have explained it. Mr. Chaturvedi, I'll come back to you now with some basic question. Let us start something with the basic. How do you, from your all your perspective, from all your clients as well as different kind of stakeholders, how do you exactly define zero excursion?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, like right from at the starting about those two articles, and whether it's a achievable thing that we are talking about as a zero excursion or almost achievable thing. So I would say that, see, this is first let's understand what is excursion all about. So it's basically that there is a defined range of a low and a high temperature, which is basically defined for that respective product in the pharma industry, and that too during the transportation part. So like anything which, suppose it is exceeding that defined limit, that is where actually temperature excursion happens. Now from my perspective, if I have to comment, so it depends upon how detailed analysis has been done for that respective product. So see, achieving a zero and an entire, say, environment of a zero excursion is also possible, but it needs the very the complete the ecosystem, the understanding of all stakeholders on the similar and to be aligned, and then there has to be a proper lean risk assessments conducted, and then the solutions being implemented based on the severity level of the risk which has been identified as a critical control point during that journey. So then that is a scenario which is very much possible. But again, because we live in a very dynamic world, we will not have the standardized infrastructure or standardized, say, the environment, like right from the origin till the destination when we are talking about a movement. So it is a dynamic world. So as Ankit also pointed out in his presentation that they have to conduct a validation study every year, and that too keeping the the scenarios of the outside temperatures in the various, say, in the various geographical zones. So that also becomes very important, that it needs to be a continuous process. We can't just rely down on one particular document which was maybe created at one day and then just we keep on following that. So that's something which will not lead you to a zero excursion environment.
Mr. Gajjar, I'll little bit extend the technological angle that we had earlier discussed. So my next question to you will be that what do you feel is the biggest challenge in integrating IoT and other different type of technologies that are available for zero excursion cold chain management, particularly taking into consideration our local environments, the restrictions in the infrastructure, etc.
Good question again. So yeah, I would say IoT and AI is going to be need of ours going forward to maintain a cold chain efficacy of the drug, I would say. And connecting IoT with the cold chain legacy, this is a totally technology driven. Okay, so it works on the network and databases, and wherever there is a network and the technology is there are some limitations because network is not the fully available everywhere. So it's required many things. So in that sense, I would say, the biggest challenge is the connectivity, because all these IoT devices generally works on network, and if there is no network or a low network, they could not transmit the data. Okay. But we can come over these things with certain technologies, future technologies, like edge computing is again one of the technology there where we can do that device, if there is no network available, it can store a data for that particular period of time, and as soon as it come within the network, it transmits the data which it has stored. So we can lose the time frame of where there is no network only, then we can recollect the data. So such kind of technologies again there where we can come over the challenges. Then maybe using a multi devices, okay, which can use the other networks like satellite networks, which helps when there is a no network or low network availability to give us the data from the data logger. So the biggest challenge is connectivity, but it can be overcome with the certain technologies, I would say.
Now you mentioned a lot of things about the data, etc. So one more question related to that is about the data security. So can you explain something about it, that when we use of all these things will started on a very large scale, how the data security can be maintained, how the data can be secured and it cannot be leaked, etc.
Correct. So data security is utmost important. If we talk about the pharma cold chain and supply, because for any shipment moving from one place to another place, it's all depends on what data we receive from the data logger, because it is a temperature control environment, and any excursion or incursion happen, the company is liable to answer, and there is a lengthy process after that to receive a CAPA and get all these things done from the carrier side. Secondly, till the time we not take proper CAPA report and all, that product cannot be launched to the final market, and there would be additional cost involved in that. Okay, so it is very, very, very important, and we could say data security. So blockchain is again one of the options that give us the transparent information and secure the data, and it just catch the lower the manipulation of data for that, and which can secure data integrity.
Coming back to you, Mr. Deshpande, now you rightly explain your journey which started with IIT. So there is naturally, when you start this kind of a journey, a lot of collaboration, sometimes friction also. But from that collaboration, something emerges. You also talked about going beyond the pharma. You talked about a little bit about the food and the agriculture also. So my question to you is that how important is the collaboration between logistic providers, technical innovators, and regulators to achieve the cold chain and the zero excursion visibility?
This is highly critical, and I would say it is a necessity requirement, because currently all the data captured in fragmented way, like one at cold storage, it's separately calculated, data monitoring as different, means one set. Second is transportation, where data monitoring is different. We are not capturing means one data, second data, and third is end user. And what are the requirement? If there are any deviations happen, we are unaware. We are just checking first point and last point. But in between, if any temperature increases, if any failure comes into the picture, so I'm connecting it with the practical example. What we did, we transported some shipment from Shimla to Chennai, this cherry. So at one time temperature maintained, then it is put up in the reefer van where temperature maintained in the way, and again the end user check the Reliance Fresh check at the end what temperature we got, and they check the quality. This is one set. We got a very positive response, and we experienced price at Shimla were around 200 rupees kg, and the demand at Chennai were 900 rupees a kg. So it's almost 4x, and it is possible because of the cold chain, because cherry couldn't have reached because without cold chain. So it is a necessity, but at the same time maintaining the temperature is also highly critical. Similarly, I would say this is, I can say, success. And one more challenges we faced, we tried lychee from Muzaffarpur to Pune. So in between temperature was maintained at Muzaffarpur. In between truck got failed. It reaches us a 2 days delay, and they somehow manage temperature at the end somehow in a tolerate range. But what happened when you open the box and we see this lychee was already spoiled. So that can happen if we not able to maintain, like traceability was there. So I could realize the what challenges I will face. So IoT plays a very big role. I can say we can trace down the all activities through IoT, and there are some I would say dashboards are available where we can see what are the temperature in the cold room, humidity level, number of how many, if I'm correlating to cold room, so how much sunlight generated, how much energy will be there, and how long this temperature can be maintained. If system got charged, so I am sure ki temperature will maintain for the 24 hours. So similarly, you also have PCM. So it has like 5 days backup, 4 days backup, but we don't have the traceability, whether it is actually maintaining temperature or not. So integration in all these fragmented segment to one is highly critical. Means from the starting point to the transport, means one technology provider and one is till the end user.
Mr. Chaturvedi, being a country manager company, you have to look after everything, right from technology, finance, HR. So I want to come back to you with a question on a finance, because there has been a lot of talk since morning in 2-3 earlier discussions about the cost factor of this entire cold chain management and the zero excursion, etc., etc. So what do you feel is the ROI outlook for the companies when they want to invest in this, whether they will be ready to invest or not, and what they would be expecting?
Yeah, so from my analysis, like from my experience, what I have so far achieved and have learned. Let's see, when we are talking about suppose just the pharma. So when we say pharma, then further this needs to be segmented down, because within the pharma also there are certain products which are highly critical, and then there are products which are very high value as well. But at the same time, there are products which are stable enough, for which the customers are not looking forward, and those are voluminous, where the customers are not looking for the very high sophisticated, paying a huge freight cost for it, because ultimately they will not be able to achieve the return on investment for those deploying all this. So once you segment this part, like which are the products, like which APIs are very high in value, which APIs are stable, whether it's a research and development product or whether it is at a product which is at a launch stage. So within the pharma industry, healthcare industry, you need to categorize, segment out the products which are very sophisticated and would require a very precise cold chain, right from the start to the end. So that is where you need to invest. There is something where it's a non-compromise, like a must-go situation. Whereas then you can always rework on the maybe a little, say maybe a little cost-effective products, maintaining the cold chain for the products which are stable enough. Because in pharma also we have the whole world, like as we said that it's a regulated product, but the whole world, whole geography is divided into a regulated and semi-regulated market. So where actually customers who are sending their products into semi-regulated market would not be discussing on about the very precise handling on the cold chain part of it. Because ultimately it's not a regulatory requirement in those countries. So that's where actually you need to sit with your customer, you need to understand the product, you need to work on the solution for it. And that is where actually the right, say, mix will come in on the as a point of view on the return of investment. And the same thing goes with the solution provider as well, because ultimately they're working for the customer's product. So if I have to invest into a kind of a very precise and a 100% like a zero excursion kind of a solution, obviously it's going to cost me a huge. But at the same time, then there are a set of products which are okay to be sent in such an environment, because those products are very high in value and they require such kind of a precise handling. So as I said, that our organization is only into pharma and only into temperature control. So we only deal with something which is very high in value, very precise handling, something which is required. Probably I might not handle a kind of a general cargo pharma product because we don't specialize into that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Deshpande, you mentioned about the policy that has been framed. So, do you think that the policy currently what is being framed is adequate? What is more needed in that? And what kind of advocacy is needed to be done for that?
See, so far for food industry, I would say there is no policy at all. So it has to be there. See, in pharma, there is like one policy. At least they are mentioning the temperature range required. So at least like in last discussion, they said it's store in cool and dry place, but not mention the temperature. So that was the case. So in like food industry, especially if we talk about perishable, there is no as such guideline at what temperature it should guide. People are doing whatever as per their will, study at their own and maintaining the temperature. So guideline must be there. I would say this should be introduced. So at least it will create an awareness. This commodity should be stored at this temperature. That is currently it is not available, but we urge this should be point of like inclusion in policy. Second, it is not just about the one commodity. Some like processed foods is also there, pharma also there, they mentioned. So if we want to create a policy, it should be like keeping in vision, or should be like we should follow the like developed countries. Now they are getting into commodity specific cold chain. They are maintaining in that way. So temperature is maintaining. So all hub and spoke model they have created. We are in very nascent stage. I can say we are at 5% level at food, and pharma might be 20-30% level. But we know what are the requirements. At least that awareness has come. To get into policy, I would say government plays a very critical role. Like if you see last 2-3 policies government has bring, it creates a transformational change. If you see the solar pump, if you see 10 years back, there was no policy, nothing on field. But in 10 years, from last 7-8 years, now you see almost 50% farm has covered through solar pumps and through. So similarly, if government take a will to introduce the policy and keeping in mind what are the requirements, definitely keeping in developed countries model, we can frame this policy. And second, we also look into the customized requirement based on the Indian condition, whether this is applicable or not. Most of the times, here our requirement are different based on the local condition. Like I would say the availability of electricity and the network connectivity. If it is not there, so should be a part of policy to build that infra also along with the end to end. If you are creating policy, so infra should be also part to support the IoT and zero excursion aim. That should along with the policy it should come.
I'd like to come back from where we started exactly. First, we saw the journey of first 7 years from 2018 and where we have reached now. Now, I want to go a little bit into the future and again ask a common question to all of you. That what is your vision about zero excursion? How do you look at it in next 10 years or next 15 years? Where will we be and what will be the scenario?
Yeah, so it's let me answer you first. So it's actually a dream, I would say. So what I dream about, because being into this industry since last so many years, I dream about like a kind of a talking shipment, which I name it. Basically, that the shipment itself should speak about that what is the temperature I require to travel. A shipment should be self-sufficient to actually raise a flag that this is not the place for me to be kept in. So this is something which, and with the use of the technology, I see this is happening. It's just a matter of like collaborating the different technology, integrating it with all the stakeholders, and certain maybe the kind of the security and the regulatory norms which can which allow the whole ecosystem to collaborate together. So that's actually what I dream of, because that is something, because I see if we are talking about a zero excursion case, and since we are living in a dynamic world where actually the process keeps on changing, weather keeps on changing, people keeps on changing, and everything else keeps on changing. So that's where actually if you have the shipment itself, like which is actually speaking and which raises a flag that yes, this is a place where I need to be, or maybe this is the temperature which is required for me to be kept, and makes a noise like if not there. That is a scenario where I feel that maybe we'll be able to achieve a zero excursion. Yeah.
Mr. Gajjar, what is your vision about this? Particularly, you must have observed since morning there have been a lot of talk about the requirements because of this cell and gene therapy, because those requirements are a little bit different. So your clients' demands will keep on changing in the next 10, 15 years. So how do you look at it?
No, absolutely. See, clients' demand will be there for sure, and now India is shifting from a conventional pharmaceutical to biosimilars and cell and gene therapies. So, and these are the critical one to maintain the temperature and move with the minimum excursion or zero excursion. So, demand will be there for sure. But see the evolution. If we see earlier, we were moving all the shipments and all with no data logger. Then data logger has been came to read the data. We might not have thought that we will be having in near future with the real time data that will happen now. So going forward, there will be a demand that contingency plan also will be designed and that will be done within the technology only. So that if there is excursion and there will be kind of some action need to be taken, the contingency plan will be developed itself with the AI and that can manage the further things without human intervention. So such kind of demand I foresee maybe there down the line 10 years.
Deshpande, your
See, zero excursion means I am getting this apple stored at 4 degree and end user eating 4 degree apple. So end to end cold chain has been maintained with this perfect keeping quality. Means like whatever we picked up like food from the farm to my plate should maintain the quality, and this is possible with the help of end to end cold chain. So that's it, how I feel.
Before I conclude, I got one last question for you, Mr. Chaturvedi. Going into slightly expanded field of international thing, that in pharma, there are demands from the FDAs and various regulatory authorities from different countries. So, how do you feel that the new technologies, particularly IoT, etc., will help, even AI, will help in companies remain compliant with the new evolving standards of the regulators world over?
Okay, so if I understand your question correctly, so what you're looking at, maybe how the different regulatory bodies across the globe,
Yeah.
because we have a different regulation in different countries. So every regulatory body also speaks a different requirement. So the question is basically that how the evolving technologies in the form of IoT or AI can support the whole ecosystem, where any changes or maybe any requirement or new requirement which may come up from the regulatory bodies can also support the entire system. So yeah, so one thing which I foresee is a predictive analysis basis on the various data or the IoT. Like if we have the access of the data, which can provide you a predictive analysis, that actually will be very helpful for the entire industry as well as the regulatory bodies to understand what went wrong basically, or maybe what can go wrong basically. Like, so one is that part where actually the technology will play a very important role. The other thing is the blockchain, as Arvind also mentioned, a kind of a very secure data sharing among all these stakeholders. That also creates a lot of visibility, basically, that what solutions to be deployed and who needs to improve on the various infrastructure part of it. Then on the third thing, I would say that on the regulations, maybe any constant upgrade, or maybe where the maybe any changes which is happening with any regulatory body at any country, which is asking for a different requirement on terms of maybe certain the importation of certain products, can also become a kind of a live thing for the entire industry. That's also one of the things which I feel foresee.
So we had a very interesting discussion in this journey from past to a little bit of forward, and various different points came out, right from technology to data security to finance and return on investment, etc. Even policy also, and I'm sure that all will help us in our respective fields. So I would like to conclude here, and before concluding, I want to thank all my panelists, as well as like to thank NSE BBM, NBFCCM, and the audience also for taking interest in it. And I'm